Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. And in this episode, we're going to take a look at a story I covered a few days ago that's sort of re-emerged with television coverage now. There's a programme that's on during daytime television here in the UK called Loose Women. And they sort of picked up on this story and they're running with it, and they also are sort of very much against it. That story is the Welsh Government's plan to introduce sex and gender identity classes to children as young as 3. Because socialism. So they're very much against it. We'll take another look at this article to see get their take on it, and then I'll get my take on their take. And it gets very meta, doesn't it? But I think it's an interesting article nonetheless, and it just goes to show that the Welsh Government, the Socialists, the left, are very much out of kilter with what I like to call normal people. You know, people who don't continually obsess about getting sex and gender discussed with 3-year-old children. I do think that they need to be investigated. I think there's something very, very seriously wrong with them, that they keep obsessing about this. But anyway, we'll have a look. I'll put myself down in my corner and we'll look at the article. So here it is, and the headline there: Just let kids be kids. Loose Women viewers blast Welsh Government plan to introduce sex and gender identity classes to children as young as 3. As panellist Kelly says, parents should be able to opt out. Yes, I agree with Kelly. Kelly Bryant says that the parents should have the say and that they should opt out. Unfortunately, the Welsh Government are bringing this in, then it's a legal requirement, and that parents cannot opt out, and should they attempt to opt out, it will be the parents who are breaking the law, because socialism, these dangerous socialists, insist that very young children must be introduced to the world of sex at the age of 3. And they keep doing this, socialists. You see, there's a word for people like this. Peter something. Every single one of them. Everyone who says they're a socialist is a risk to children. Now, if you want to sit there and say, I'm a socialist, you go ahead and say it. But you're a risk to children if you do. If you vote left, if you vote Labour, you're a danger to children. Because this is what you get. You get obsessive socialist lefties continually obsessing over introduction of sex lessons to children aged 3, because they cannot abide children being naive and innocent. They want them to become sexualized at the age of 3, because they want to normalise the P word. They want that word normalised. They want it introduced. They want it to become a thing. One only has to look at the 70s and Labour and Harriet Harman and that Peter Files information exchange that she was the spokesperson for. That's the left for you. That's socialism for you. And there's no denying it. They can deny it all they like, but the trouble is the evidence is there, and they really don't like the fact that there's receipts. But anyway, we'll move on with the story. Loose Women discussed whether 5-year-olds were too young to hear about sex. Actually, it's 3-year-olds. They're talking about kindergarten. Welsh curriculum starting sex education classes from age 5. Kelly Bryant said she wanted to oversee how the conversation is had with her child. Viewers agreed kids should be kids and too young to be taught about sex. Which is true. They absolutely are. The trouble with the left is they don't like families. They want those families to break up. They want to take those children away from families, because families have a loyalty stronger to each other than they do to the state. And the left cannot abide that. And they know that if they can break the families up, They can take the children. They can brainwash the children. They can mentally abuse these children. And when I say mentally abuse, let's just face it, not only mentally abuse children, physical and worse. It's what they want. It's what they do. It's what they've done for years. They're sick, disgusting people. On today's programme, the panel of stars were debating a lawsuit filed by 5,000 parents to overturn a proposal by the Labour-led administration to make religious and sex education compulsory in primary school pupils. Ministers insist the new curriculum, which will also see themes of religion, sex and gender embedded in day-to-day teaching, was developmentally appropriate for children. No, it's not. Parents' job, not school's job. Parents' job, especially when you're talking kindergarten children. But you can't help yourself, can you, Labour? You cannot help yourself. Fingeries, want to get hold of the children. Want to get hold of the children, don't you? You sick, sick monsters. The plan has been met with fierce backlash from parents because they love their children and don't want these socialist monsters getting their hands on these children to abuse them in God knows what way. It's bad enough with all the brainwashing, all the socialist brainwashing that goes on in schools. Speaking on ITV panel show today, the mother of two, Kelly, says she thinks it's a good thing to introduce sex education classes to children, but stressed parental consent is key. And also age. It's far too young. 3, 4 and 5 are way too young. Viewers agreed, stating that 5 was way too young, and that to teach children about sex, body positivity and gender, with many arguing schools should let kids be kids. Yeah, these kids can come out of their school and they can barely read and write, but God almighty, have you seen what's going into their minds by these sick, perverted socialist teachers? Kelly was joined by Jane Moore, Denise Welsh and Katie Piper in discussing the Welsh Government's decision to teach kids as young as 5 about sex, body positivity and gender. It's far too young, Kelly started. I think what's more concerning for me is taking away the parental rights to decide. Yeah, because the state says you are a parent, but you are to have no rights over your child. None. We own your child. You do not own your child. That's what the state is saying. You are hereby excused all responsibility for that child. We will control your child's life. That's socialism. I hope you voted for it, people in Wales, because that's what you get. You get what you deserve. You voted for a Labour administration. Well done, you. Give up your children now. Just pack them on the back. Give them a wee packed lunch, couple of days' clothes, change of clothes. Won't be needing many clothes where they're going. Not when the socialists get hold of them. Education is one thing. Maths, English, all of that. We can see that. We can access that information. We can have an overview and we can decide if that's appropriate, she went on. But what they're trying to do is take away my parental right to have a look at the content and decide whether it's what I want or not. Whether I want to expose my child to that or not. Kelly explained there are several factors, including religion and race, which determine when and how parents wish to discuss sex with children. Yeah, but not as far as the socialists are concerned. They want those 3-year-olds in their power and they want to remove the rights and freedoms of parents to raise those children. Because do you know why? It's because parents might raise their children to not be socialists and to not obey the will of the great left one. They are maggots. These people are maggots. They are filth. She added she considers herself a liberal and open parent who's already had age-appropriate discussions about sex with her children. Who knows my children better than I do, she said. Nobody. So for me, taking the parental control out of that situation, I think that is a slippery slope. It's an appalling abuse of power. Jane Moore read the Welsh Government's right of reply, which states that everything they teach will be mentally appropriate and they will make sure that learners aren't learners. You mean 3-year-old children aren't exposed to things that aren't appropriate to their age and development. None of this is appropriate. However, the host noted that no one knows the content of the new sex education curriculum, and also the fact that they do know that there's no parental consent, no parental control. You are having your rights as a parent summarily removed. And they haven't put this to a vote because they know what the bloody answer will be. It will be a pitchforks and burning torches at the gates of the castle, won't it? Katie Piper, who has a 4-year-old and an 8-year-old, said, "It's such a broad world, sex education. The Welsh Government said it could cover body positivity, it could cover gender. It's not just about sex. But the point is the parents aren't having a say. The parents don't know what's in it. The parents are just dealing and sending little Johnny and little Jane off to school. And then the teachers are going, right, come here, I've got you now. I can do what I like to you. I can tell you what I like, and your parents can do nothing about it. Nothing." She noted it was important to remove the shame about sex. Not from 3-year-olds. They don't have shame. They're taught shame, but they don't have it. And to give the children the right names to use to describe their anatomy. I'm sorry, everybody knows that 3-year-olds call their behinds their bums, and their front bits are like their winkies or their willies or the front bottoms. It's what 3 and 4-year-olds call them, for God's sake. Anyway, getting back to the story, Denise Welsh said that people who disagreed about teaching sex ed in the school would be vilified by the woke crowd. No, actually, here's the thing. I disagree with it, and if you're woke and you think you're going to vilify me, here's the thing. Don't give a shit. Look. This face is the face of someone who doesn't give a shit. And you know what? Elon Musk doesn't give a shit either. I can go on Twitter and say this. So if you're woke, you're a loser. Now have a go at me. And watch as I go, meh, don't care. Don't care. Don't care. Because the woke seem to think their opinion matters to me. No. Only 2 opinions matter to me. Mine and, more importantly, my wife's. I think of things, I have viewpoints, and my wife has viewpoints, and 99% of the time they are the same viewpoint. And when they're not, we agree with my wife's viewpoint. I'm very good with this. Anyway, carrying on. The thing about what we are allowing and what things are changing has become really politicised. I find that if you don't agree with certain things these days, you are considered to be far right. Oh yes, that's right. I'm far right. I'm far right because I don't want 3-year-olds to be introduced to a world of sex by socialist creeps. So I'm obviously far right. I think you'll find that 95% of the people in this country would disagree with teaching sex to 3-year-olds. So that puts 95% of this country as far extreme right. No, I don't think so. You sad, woke tosspots. Denise went on. I'm somebody that comes from the left, but I've found that in the last 2 years, things have changed so much. I hate the word woke, but the fact is, I think that 5 is too young to start talking about sex education. What's happened is, these woke warriors, these very nice people, have gone so far to the left that people who were left are now moving to the right because they can't stomach what's going on. Kelly added she believes introducing the conversation early could reduce homophobia as children would be introduced to the different types of sexual attraction identities. Yes, but 3? All I'm saying is I'd like to have the control and have the say as to when that's delivered to my child. I think it's a great thing, but I just need to look at it. No, sorry, love, you don't get that say. Socialism means you get no control. They'll be telling your 3-year-olds the various techniques of homosexual lovemaking. Because it must be fully understood when you're 3, because they want to practice that. That's why they want 3-year-olds to be aware. Viewers agreed with the panel that the age of 5 is too young to be introduced to that kind of thing. I take my children out of school. Kids should be playing and having fun. Leave them alone. 5 is too young. Let kids be kids. Most 5-year-olds want to be an astronaut or a dinosaur. Not a toy for a lefty. And that's the nub of the matter. That's what these lefties are after. They're after your children, and there's a reason they want your children. They want to get their grubby, dirty, cloying hands onto children. And that's the left for you. Anyway, I'm going to come up and we'll round this off. It is a very sad state of affairs, particularly sad for Welsh children, that they're not allowed to have the innocence of childhood anymore. That sick, left, grubby, filthy, perverted socialist scum want to deny their right to a childhood and to introduce them to very much adult topics and to sexualise children from such a small age, to make them aware of what the world is. One only has to wonder why these people want this. They need to be questioned. They need to be investigated. They need to be investigated thoroughly. Every aspect of their lives needs to be turned over. And the voters in Wales need to question them and find out, basically ask them the question, why do you want to take my rights as a parent away from me and to sexualise my children? And if they can't come up with a pretty positive answer, don't give them your vote. Now, there's a massive rise in home education, and things like this are the reason why. I can think of nothing worse than abnegating my responsibilities as a child, or to a child, should I say, and then finding out that I have therefore been responsible for that child to be abused. If I had the ability and I could keep the child at home and educate that child myself, I most certainly would. Now, of course, not everyone's going to be in that position, but not everyone has to be. But the more that you can homeschool children, the better. And you can start removing power from the socialists, remove power from the teachers. And I firmly believe that we need free schools, not state schools, but free schools where the parents get to choose. You have a parents' board. A bunch of parents will actually form the school, and they will hire the teachers, and they will select the curriculum. And that way, the teachers can get the education they want for the children, given to the children by the teachers they approve of. And if the teachers start doing weird, woke, lefty crap, the teachers can be fired by the parents. It's a thought. But certainly if you're a parent, and particularly if you're a Welsh parent, question everything that's going on in your child's school, and question why they want this. They're dangerous. They're a danger to children, and they should be stopped. Anyway, I'm going to stop there because it is something I'll either get depressed about or very angry about, and neither of them are good. If you like what I say and do on the channel, please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Ring the bell for notifications of future output. Leave a like, leave a comment, and until next time, dear friends, stay safe, stay well, keep your children away from socialists, and goodbye.